Okay, Hezzy.
All right.
Okay, Ty, so this...
All right.
Is this a game winner that you hit?
Yeah, it's a game winner.
Be more enthusiastic that you hit a game winner, bro. It's like,
I do that a lot, though.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
You see how impressive that was? He's like,
There's a subtle stunt right there.
You know what I'm saying? He coming for Gilbert Arenas' spots.
But you put that man on skates like that.
Skates.
Yeah, I was rocking him. He actually had a good game, though.
Do you know this man?
I don't know him at all. I think he's a rapper, but
Even better.
So you crossing up SoundCloud rappers.
right.
Serious.
But nah, he probably scored like 30 points that game. I wasn't checking him. No.
Okay.
I wasn't checking him, though. So when I got the ball, I seen him in front of me. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm about to rock him.
You've been spamming me with that SoundCloud link. Come get this work.
Yeah, I had like 4 seconds on the clock, too. So I was like, only one thing was going to happen.
You ever hit a game winner in high school or anything like that?
Nah, I never really played basketball.
Wait, you never really played? You got some skills.
Yeah, this is like, don't.
So where you been playing?
Natural. I was a natural. I was playing at every park in New Orleans. They know me well.
Yeah.
They know
The streets know you well.
Welcome back to Out of Bounds. I'm Pierce Simpson. Today's episode will be jam-packed. I'm joined here by Complex Sports editor Adam Caparel. Adam, we can already tell it's going to be a pretty special show, right?
Swagging and hooping today.
Swagging and hooping today because the guy next to you filling in for Mr. Gilbert Arenas is one of the best defensive backs in the NFL, Mr. Tyrann Mathieu, a.k.a. Honey Badger. Tyrann, you got a lot of big things coming up, not only on the field, but you also have your annual Kickball Classic in New Orleans that's happening on March 24th. You can check that out at TyrannMathieuKickballClassic.com. And you have some celebrities that'll be at that game, right?
Yeah, so it'll be an LSU environment. A lot of the former guys that went to LSU, a lot of their superstars. So got a bunch of guys from the Saints that's coming. So it should be fun, man. Okay. Birdman's supposed to come.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Okay. Put some respect on my neck.
So it's gonna definitely be New Orleans. It's gonna be a Louisiana vibe. So
but the question is, you do anybody dirty the way you did that guy off the dribble?
Well, I do expect to be named the first MVP of my.
Okay, that's a conflict of interest. You can't throw the event and then win MVP because I'm gonna be the guy in the back like, how he throw it and he got MVP.
But I mean, hey, if I earned it, I earned it, man.
So you got some kickball skills.
Yeah, I'm good at sports, man.
Okay.
I knew we see
that on Sundays. Yeah.
I'm an athlete. But in addition to that, you also have your third annual Badger Youth Skills Camp in New Orleans on March 25th, the very next day, and that's free for kids from kindergarten to 9th grade, and they can sign up at hardcountathletics.com. What made you want to say, I want to get back to the youth and just really build up my environment?
Well, I always, my whole life growing up, I always felt like I kind of attracted people, and, maybe at times I was a leader and maybe at times I was a bad leader. So I felt like when I got back on my platform that I would, obviously, target kids that weren't fortunate, kids that didn't really have resources or opportunities, or maybe they just need somebody to kind of point them in the right direction. So that's really what my foundation is about. That's what my camp is about. And that's what everything I'm trying to do off the field is about.
Yeah, man, that's pretty impressive. I mean, you see guys all the time that want to give back but find poor ways to give back and don't necessarily do that. So to see you give back to your community and your environment, man, it's really, really impressive. But the website you can go, once again, is hardcountathletics.com, and you can sign up, and that's free for the youth.
Yeah, it's free tickets.
Okay, I love it. You can't win MVP in that event, though.
Right.
Going against kids.
Can't win them all.
Yeah, putting 6-year-olds on skates and stuff like that. Man, you can't do that. But even though it's the NFL offseason, there's a lot of big moves happening. It seems like the Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom will be no more. They started things off by trading perennial Pro Bowl defensive end Michael Bennett to the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia just continues to get stronger. And there's a lot of reports that Richard Sherman is the next guy to be moved. We saw a variety of his teammates tweet out cryptic messages, like Seattle cornerback Jeremy Lane tweeted, "That text message got my heart hurting. Damn, 25 was my dog. Hashtag what's next." On Instagram, Cam Chancellor posted, quote, "Chancellor of Operations, thanks for the name at Richard Sherman." So obviously Richard Sherman may be on the move. They're also looking at trade offers for Earl Thomas. The Legion of Boom may not be anymore entering this season. They're a division rival of yours. What do we make of everything going on in Seattle?
Well, I mean, I think for one, I think that's just the business side of it. Right. I mean, it's unfortunate, especially when guys get up in age or, they're either coming off injury. Yep. There's always a question mark of are they an expense for us? So, I mean, we understand that. I think those guys understand that. Those guys had a great run.
They did. Sure. Yeah. They did have a great run. They arguably changed the way we look at the defensive back position in the NFL overall in general. Richard Sherman's coming off an Achilles injury. He's 29 years old. He's due to make $11 million in base salary along with a $13.2 million cap hit. We talked a little bit before the camera started rolling. You feel like Sherm should just take a pay cut and stay in Seattle, right?
I mean, yes, but also we know that his hardline stance on things, like he's very much set in his ways, and you have to respect that, for being a man of principle and saying like, he does what he talks the talk, walks the walk. Yeah. So, you expect that Richard Sherm, whatever he says, he's going to do. But that being said, I have a very tough time believing that he can get $11 million either, definitely not with the Seahawks or anywhere else. Right. I mean, coming off the Achilles injury, that's going to take some time to come back. You've had a guy, both you guys have actually suffered knee injuries. You know how long it takes to come back from a major injury like that. Someone will pay him, but I have a really tough time thinking that he's going to get $11 million on the wrong side of 30 very shortly, coming off from a major injury. And also, real talk, the Legion of Boom wasn't bringing the boom that much last season. So we saw a major come down in the stats and, what the Seahawks have brought to the table defensively from last season compared to where they were the last few seasons. Yeah.
And another caveat of Richard Sherman, he also had his other Achilles cleaned up this offseason as well. So kind of surgery to both Achilles.
That's tough.
As a player, what's your mindset when a team comes to you and say, I want you to take a pay cut?
Well, I think it's always respectful to understand that their side of things, that is fair. But I think a lot of players, they invest a lot, not only into, themselves being a professional athlete, but into the community. So not only do people feel like they should be compensated for the work they do on the field, but they should be compensated for the work they do off the field. But, I think a lot of guys just have a hard stance that this league makes a lot of money, so you want to take a couple $1 million from me? Come on, man.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Listen, maximize your earning potential while you have it, because no other profession you're going to get like $11 million. So maximize your earning potential. But when it comes to situations like this, and a lot of news is being circulated through the media, and you may not hear directly from the organization, you were kind of caught up in that earlier this year where you were going back and forth with fans and posting screen grabs of television stats on Twitter, which I enjoyed. How much of it is just like fake news and just rumors?
Well, I think very little of it is rumors. I think this stuff actually takes place behind closed doors. I think it just leaks out to us. But as a player, you try to stay away from it. You don't want to get too caught up into it. Like you just mentioned, it was at times, I have to catch myself and say, I got to stop. But it's hard as a player because you know how much you invest, you know how much work you put in, you know how much you sacrifice. So, it's definitely tough on a player.
Yeah, because you're human at the end of the day. Right. But yesterday with the whole Seattle Seahawks, Michael Bennett being shipped to Philadelphia, Ian Rappaport mentioned that this was Seattle trying to quiet things, and he took a ton of backlash for the way he phrased things. And there's this growing sentiment that the Seahawks were trading Richard Sherman and Michael Bennett to kind of quiet down the activism. Do we buy that, or what are we thinking?
I don't know. I don't necessarily buy that per se because Seattle's a very progressive, liberal city, and those guys have been out in front. Pete Carroll's been supporting them with their endeavors. So I kind of have a little bit of a tough time believing that. But at the same time, sometimes, like you just mentioned, where there's smoke, there's fire. So there could be some rumblings in the scenes where they kind of want less attention on the guys for what they're saying off the field. We hope that's not the case. Again, we want these guys to be honest, be open, and be supported by the ownership and the coaching staff for saying what needs to be said. But who knows? The NFL is maybe the most backwards of all the sports leagues when it comes to this stuff, so wouldn't it be shocking? But the most shocking thing to me is that, Seattle's attempting a rebuild, while still trying to be competitive. Right. Which okay, that works sometimes, but generally, maybe a year or two away from getting back to being a legit Super Bowl contender. But you have a franchise quarterback right now that's in his prime. Right. You don't really see teams kind of strip it down the way they're doing defensively on one side of the ball when you have a top 10 quarterback who can get you in the playoffs, no problem. So it's a little bit shocking to me that they're doing this, but I don't know, maybe they have some grand plan that's going to work out and make them true contenders in a year or two.
Yeah, with everything kind of going down with the Legion of Boom and seemingly end of an era, what's their legacy at the end of the day? What do you think it is?
Well, I think the legacy will be, obviously the things that they accomplished on the football field first. Yeah. I think that they were really the first defensive back group that many guys in the league kind of looked up to, and a lot of the groups in the league look up to, like, hey, these are the standards. So they definitely set that bar for us, and they did it year after year. And like we were just talking, those guys were very outspoken on different issues. Definitely felt like they, put themselves out there for a lot of times for other players.
Was there anything in particular that you learned from that group that you adapted into your game?
Well, I felt like those guys stuck together, through it all. Yeah. I've been able to play against those guys the last 5 years, 2 times a year, and every year they stuck together. Whether it was winning, losing, they stuck together. So,
Sure. I think Seattle's just trying to, you mentioned having a quarterback in their prime. I think they're trying to just reallocate some things and bolster their offensive line because it looks like you and I are starting that offensive line.
Yeah, well, you know, all the magic bubble water you can drink is not going to prevent you from getting concussions. So, yes, it would behoove the Seahawks to bolster that offensive line, protect Russell Wilson because ain't much talent after that right now.
You see how he's smiling? He knows lunch.
All right, switching over to basketball. Is Becky Hammon about to become the next head coach of Colorado State men's hoops? And I bring that up because the university is considering making Hammon, Spurs assistant coach, the first female head coach in the history of Division I men's basketball. Yeah. So on the possibility of hiring Hammon, athletic director Joe Parker told the Coloradan.com that, quote, it's the most frequently asked question I get and recommended candidate. I'm not closing the door on any thought. Yeah. Hammon, we know, has been assistant coach with the Spurs. She's a highly celebrated women's basketball player. She was a 3-time All-American at Colorado State, so Colorado State's her alma mater. And we know that Popovich, she's been on the staff of the Spurs for years, has praised her, and the Spurs praise her a ton. So I guess first and foremost, my question for you guys is, do we think, you know, that the men's game is ready to have a female coach in the college side be in charge of guys and lead them?
I think the world is ready for it. Yeah. You know, just where everything is in the world right now, and at the end of the day, I feel like she's very qualified. I mean, she won the summer league. She's played basketball. I actually had a coach a couple of years ago. We actually at the Cardinals. We actually had the first female coach in the NFL. Yeah. She coached linebackers for us, and she had played in the women's league, so she understood football. It was easy to talk like two gap systems with her, setting the edge, and so
was it easy to accept her? I mean, because she was knowledgeable, she knew what she was doing, so you guys had no problem with
that. Right, exactly. So, and but had it been, you know, she didn't know what she was doing, it'd have been very awkward and hard.
It's a credibility issue, and Becky Hammon has amazing credentials. And again, Popovich has said, you know, has praised her so much over the years, and you know, recently he said, "quote Becky can do anything she wants, whatever she wants to do in her future. I think it's her choice. She's got it all." Yeah. So I guess the question for Becky is, you know, would it be a good decision for her to take the Colorado State men's job now, or maybe does she wait a few more years and try and get an NBA head coaching job? Maybe Popovich is done coaching in 3 or 4 years, and he wants to give her the job.
See, I think that's the big question, is like, is she selling herself short by just taking this Colorado State job? Because Tyrann mentioned perfectly, she coached the Summer League roster to a championship. She has an impressive resume. She played in the WNBA, played overseas. Her resume is well decorated. And coming from that Popovich tree, you're going to get respect. So your Knicks job might be open. So, you know what I'm saying?
They need all the help they can get. So actually, it probably will be open this summer.
It might be.
I mean, it'd be cool, like, for history's sake, it'd be really cool to see her take that job and see what she could do. And it's also, like, you know, the alma mater. Like, if LSU's calling you home and saying, like, yo, we need you, like, it's going to be tough to turn them down.
Right.
But the NBA is the NBA. And she's been engrossed in the NBA now for a number of years and continues to get respect from around the league. So, you know, there's a part of me that say, like, you know, go make history right now, but, like, becoming the first women's head coach in NBA history, maybe a few years possibly, like, that would be massive.
Yeah, I think I would probably take the Colorado job, see what she can do on her own without Popovich, and then see what life takes.
She turned down I think she interviewed for, I didn't turn down, but she interviewed for the Florida women's head coach, I think last summer, and ultimately decided to stick with the Spurs. So, I mean, she's been getting, you know, hints at wanting to be a head coach, obviously on the women's level, but now, again, a huge step up. To go to the men's game, and that would be an amazing look and historic thing for her to do.
Right. I think, and her situation is so unique, I think she has to really take her time and make a decision.
Yeah. And Ty, when you mentioned having the experience of having the first female coach in the NFL, do you think college players would be more receptive to the landscape change of having the first female head coach in D1 men's college basketball, or do you think the NBA would be more accepted? Because professional guys can get very ornery, and they can say, like, I'm this, I'm making all this money, I don't need to listen to anybody.
No, but I don't think many professional athletes, at least the guys that I know, I don't think that they would, you know, act that way. You know, especially with a head coach.
Yeah. If you know your shit, you know your shit.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
I'm calling now. Becky Hammon would be an incredible head coach.
Someone's got to give her a head coaching job.
Yeah, it's gonna be your Knicks.
Hey, listen, it could be my alma mater, UConn, all right? Kevin Allen needs to go. So Becky Hammon wants to come in and change things.
Listen, but
I'm down for it.
Yeah, another team that could very well be having a new head coach at the end of the season is New Orleans Pelicans. Despite their 10-game winning streak at the moment, they're pushing the playoff contention. But Anthony Davis went down once again last night with ankle injury. But his stat line was impressive. 17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 blocks, 2 steals, 1 assist in just 23 minutes. Other players chipped in, of course. But with the Pelicans on a 10-game win streak, fourth in the Western Conference, what are we thinking right now? That's your hometown team.
Yeah.
How you feeling about the New Orleans Pelicans?
Well, for right now, I just want them to finish strong. I want AD to continue playing at the level that he's playing at, and hopefully he could get the rest of those guys to continue to chip in and just finish the season strong.
Of course, we always thought that James Harden would be a foregone winner of the MVP award this season, but Anthony Davis right now is averaging 28.1 points, second in the NBA, 11.1 rebounds, 2.3 blocks, which is also second in the league, 2.3 assists, and 1.5 steals. So he's pretty much doing everything for New Orleans right now with DeMarcus Cousins out for Achilles injury. What do we think?
Remember, we clowned on him after the All-Star break.
We did.
We had that quote to ESPN where it's like, I have to score 40 a night to give us a chance.
Right.
Yeah.
And, he's been living up to that, which is, insane. So, the one thing about AD is you worry about the injury history.
Yeah.
And he got knocked in the ribs against the Clippers the other night, went down for a little bit, but came back, and then the ankle issue that, may flare up for the coming games. Yeah. You worry about that. I thought that the Pelicans, based on how difficult their schedule was going to be the rest of the season, were going to struggle to get to the playoffs, and I'm dead wrong as dead wrong about the Pacers earlier in the year. Yeah. It's been amazing to watch him ball out and just take the team on its back. And we made the argument that the Pelicans had one of the worst supporting cast around AD of the teams in the Western Conference fighting for those last few playoff spots. But those guys have been balling out too. Drew Holiday had a game last night. Mirotic had a game last night. They're actually picking up. They're doing the dirty work too.
Listen, just because you ball out don't mean they're still not one of
them. I know they played Sacramento last night. I get that, but still, they are picking up, some of the ball, although AD's leading the way. Yeah. And shockingly, maybe we have an MVP race going down the stretch, which you never would have imagined 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Never would imagine. How big of a star do you think AD is in New Orleans? Because the Saints are obviously the hometown team, right. But when you have a guy like Anthony Davis doing these type of things, it has to.
He's a legit superstar. Yeah. He's probably one of the only reasons that people probably come to games or even watch Pelican games.
Right. So, because there's a lot to do in New Orleans.
Right. Other than watch Pelicans basketball.
For sure. Anthony Davis's play, of course, we've mentioned how stellar it's been. He also mentioned that he's pretty confident that DeMarcus Cousins will re-sign with the Pelicans despite being a free agent this offseason. Do you think Anthony Davis's play will help Boogie say, I'm going to just stay and sign a long-term deal with New Orleans and build it up?
I hope so, man. And actually, a couple weeks ago, he actually had a comedy thing in New Orleans, and I attended. So Boogie definitely loves the city. Yeah. So let's just hope he stays and hope we can get them a point guard and hope they can make a push in the next couple of years.
I'm with it.
The Pelicans have the leverage there, though. Boogie coming off the Achilles is going to be tough for him to get a massive, massive deal this summer. So it seems like the Pelicans are the most logical landing spot. Yeah. I just wonder, though, we keep hearing the rumors about the Pelicans possibly looking to deal AD. Right. How devastating would that be for New Orleans people and Pelicans fans? If another superstar leaves and gets traded the way Chris Paul did years ago.
It'll be the same situation. Yeah. It'll be like we were almost there.
Right.
And you took it away from us. So if they let AD go, it'll be empty seats.
Yeah, because it's kind of tough. He's not lying. It's kind of tough to see the stigma of the New Orleans Pelicans because even when I introed this segment, you have this thought that Alvin Gentry's on a hot seat. You're like, oh, he's about to get fired. But they won 10 straight and they're 4th place in the Western Conference.
They could get
that's impressive. That's crazy.
They're on a 10-game winning streak right now. You keep ripping off wins. They're maybe the 3rd seed in the West, which is insane to think about.
It's absurd. And thinking about half their roster, I can't even.
Yeah, they don't really belong there, but AD's just balling out.
Yeah. So do you think they will ever eclipse the Saints in popularity in New Orleans, or that might not ever happen?
No, I don't think so. Unless LeBron comes there, he can pull off 5 wins.
You got a recruiting pitch for LeBron this summer?
No, not really. But
yeah. He's like, I'm keeping it real. LeBron's not going to New Orleans.
I'm sure they got good wine down in New Orleans.
Yeah,
they got good food.
They got good wine.
Some nice wine pairing.
Good everything down there, man.
Switching back to football, the Redskins are looking to give out Super Bowl rings from 1987 to scab players, and we need to judge whether that's fair or foul. So 3 decades after Washington won Super Bowl 21, the Redskins announced that they're giving the scab players or replacement players from the strike season Super Bowl rings because those scab players helped them win 3 games in the regular season and obviously get them to the playoffs. So when the Redskins won it all, the team did not recognize the scab players, and although they did receive a share of the money. Yeah. So the question I have for you is, do we think it's a good look, fair or foul, that the Redskins 30 years after the fact are now giving these guys Super Bowl rings?
I don't know how I feel about that.
It's kind of torn about it.
Yeah, especially if I was one of the players that was on strike.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
I mean, they got Super Bowl share money, so they got something out of this already.
Right.
But like, you would have a tough time seeing those guys that crossed the picket lines that went against what you guys were doing
get a Super Bowl
ring.
Yeah, that wouldn't sit well with me.
Daniel Snyder said, quote, "The 3-0 record of the Redskins replacement players was part of the remarkable success of the 1987 Washington Redskins. Their contributions are part of Redskins history and represent an integral season why a Lombardi trophy from the 1987 campaign resides in our facility today." Some of the guys that are going to get the rings talked about how emotional it was for them to get it. One of the guys, QB Tony Robertson, told the Knoxville Sentinel that there were tears in my eyes when he heard the news that he was going to get a Super Bowl ring. So it means a lot to these scab players, but yeah, you as a guy that's out there, daily, and you haven't had the scenario come to you yet.
Right.
Maybe you do one day if there's a labor situation, but you would have an issue with the replacement players getting that kind of recognition.
Yeah, although I mean, obviously, I guess it's two perspectives, but I mean, you would want those guys to have been compensated, but to get a Super Bowl ring and to get it undermining what we were trying to accomplish. I don't know what that.
I'm calling fair because that's an excellent stimulus check. Because I'm taking that ring and I'm selling it. What's up? 30 years later, I don't need that refund tax came through. Got the Super Bowl ring. I'm for the flip. Oh, we winning. You know what I'm saying? That's fair. Thanks, Redskins.
I'm gonna say yeah. I mean, I'm gonna say fair. I mean, it's 30 years past.
What you think they get for that ring? 20,000?
Probably get more than that.
You probably get more, right?
I have no idea what the Super Bowl ring looks like. I mean, I think they're probably more extravagant than what they used to be.
Right.
So if they're going to be a facsimile,
if it looks like a high school Letterman ring, I'm upset.
Yeah, I mean, I hope
it's like a legit Super Bowl ring, I'm coming up. I'm going right to the pawn shop. I'm like, what can I get for this right here?
I mean, if it has 21 diamonds in it,
shining.
I mean, yes, you can probably pay off your kid's college semester or two.
It's college semester.
So it's like
that's going straight
it's a good look for
them.
Yeah. So I don't know. Me personally, it's like it happened so long ago. Just sweep it on the rug, let bygones be bygones. Just give him a ring. Daniel Snyder has a shitload of money. He doesn't care about this big deal, So, but I get from your perspective that as a replacement player and the stigma that those guys have attached to going against you guys, you'd have some harsh feelings about them being recognized that way.
Right. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
You weren't even alive 30 years ago.
I wasn't.
Yeah. You weren't either.
Neither was I. Definitely. Tom, I'm not gonna lie to you. If y'all go on strike, I'm crossing the line. Arizona can call me tomorrow. It's like, we give you $50. All right, I'm there.
Yeah, let those scab players get paid. They need a check.
They need a check. What's up? But Tyrann, before we head out, I have a question for you. Who's the toughest cover that you have throughout your career? Who's the guy that you've guarded that you're like, damn, he's good?
I've had a few of them. I've had times where I had to cover Jimmy Graham, and it's like
6'8" Jimmy Graham.
Right. And then there was times I had to cover Antonio Brown. I had to match up with Julio because we was in a seam concept and Pat was on the outside. So I would probably say those 3 guys are definitely.
Which one of those three do you get to line of scrimmage and you're like, damn?
AB.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because he's so quick.
Well, I'll be watching the Instagram videos too. So I'm like, all that stuff you be working on. I'm like, is he, it's like.
So you got to stay off IG.
Yeah.
What's the hardest hit you've delivered?
The hardest hit, Deshaun Jackson. They threw him a bubble screen, and Bradley Cooper tried to block me, but he closed his eyes, and I just drilled him. He was laying there, and I felt so bad because he like a legit homie.
Yeah.
He a big homie in the league, and I was just looking at him. He was on the ground, curled up. And I was like, damn, big homie.
You can bust his balls about that.
Right.
Now, what's the hardest you've been hit?
The hardest I've been hit. We was playing against Cam Newton. This was my freshman year in college, and he threw a screen route, and the offensive lineman came up the line of scrimmage, and this was like my first time really playing it was an SEC football game, and he legit knocked the snot on my nose.
Jeez, nope. That's why I play basketball. Let's hoop.
Safe for contact sport.
Yeah, let's hoop. And thank God we don't get hit here on Out of Bounds. But Tyrann, how would you describe your experience here on Out of Bounds?
It was cool, man. I was definitely relaxed. It's a great environment. I had fun, man.
I love it, man. And Gilbert Arenas is here in spirit, right behind you. You know,
I'll give you a copy. Yeah.
Tell him he could get these buckets too, man.
There you go.
He talking a lot of trash. He came at me early. Now he coming at Gilbert. You know what I'm saying? For Out of Caparel, Tyrann Mathieu. I'm Pierce Simpson. We'll see you next week. This is Out of Bounds.
Gilbert likes to give out his own signed.
That's for me?
Of himself.
Well, I mean, technically it's not. He actually gave it for T.O. originally, so this was T.O.'s gift when T.O. came on the show. But this is what you're dealing with.
It showed you how much T.O. valued it. He left.
He left it. Right. He's like, T.O., why'd you leave my shit here?
T.O. was like, yeah, I'm gonna just leave this.
So now we have this in Gil's locker.
Yo,
to show off.
Gil with that smile. That's funny.